Oh. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Devin and I read books, and this is Devin Reads Books, and this is our 100 subscriber readathon special. So we talked about it in my last video, or second to last video. I'm not sure if this is going to come out before or after the Romantasy vlog. I got a little bit more of work to do on that, but today we are going to lounge around and read anywhere from 12 to 24 hours until I get through all 3 of these queer horror books for the last couple days of Pride Month. So the books we're going to read are Thirst by Marina Yusik. Again, I'm sorry if you're out there and you happen to see this. I'm not purposely butchering your last name, I'm just stupid. This is in the twilight of Europe's bloody bacchanals of murder and feasting without end. A vampire arrives from Europe to the coast of Buenos Aires and watches the village transform to a cosmopolitan city. And then there's also a vantage point from present day Buenos Aires. So dual vantage points. I don't know that there is direct LGBT representation in this, but come on, this is queer AF. Book number 2, Feast While You Can, by Michaela Clements and Anjali Datta. This is about a woman who was born and raised in Cadenzi in a remote town with little to its name, and she spends all of her time kind of luring other women into different shows and situations. It seems like there's some kind of cult or monster vibe here. And then the last one we are going to read is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. And this, you think this copy looks weird, that is because it is an ARC. So I think at this point this book doesn't need a long introduction. It's pretty popular on BookTube now, but high school senior Andrew Perrault finds refuge in twisted fairy tales that he writes for only one person, Thomas Rye. At one point, Thomas disappears, and then his parents disappeared. Haha. And then Thomas arrives at school with blood on his sleeve, and things are never quite the same. I'm really excited to kind of dive into this for sure, out of the 3, but that is going to be the crescendo, the piece de resistance. To begin, we are going to start with Thirst. I am going to try not to smush this little boy and get started on this, and then I will give you guys a little bit of an update once I have made some headway. Alrighty guys, so I am over halfway through Thirst. It's been a couple hours. It's a little slower than I was expecting, but it's really enjoyable, actually. It feels like reading a gothic book, and I don't know if I would describe it as that. Just to be warned, there are going to be some spoilers in my talking segments for this video. I really want to be able to talk about these books. So the book opens up with a woman taking her son Santi to a graveyard. It's big graveyard, and she loses him. He gets lost. He kind of wanders off. And then as they're being asked to leave, and like everybody, not just these two, because the graveyard's closing, she sees some woman and it scares her. And then we immediately shift into the past where we get a glimpse into the vampire. And we don't get her name. We get a fake name that she uses, Maria, and we kind of hear her whole story, how she was originally from Europe, and she was turned as a girl. Basically, this village would leave offerings to their vampire, to the vampire that created her. Eventually, the townspeople rose up, Universal Monsters style, killed the vampire and her sisters, and she was the last surviving one of her kind of coven vampire family. I don't really know what the term for a flock of vamps are. And that's how she ends up in Buenos Aires. She was kind of on the run, and then we get these glimpses of her life there. She originally lived kind of as a vagabond, and then she lured this woman, Justina, to her own house, technically. Justina was showing her the house where she grew up as a kind of aristocratic citizen, and then her house had kind of fallen into hard times, and so she's kind of reliving all of this stuff with her. And I should warn you, from here on out, it's basically a spicy book. It is not Bela Lugosi vampires, it is Aaliyah in Queen of the Damned vampires, guys, all right? But she does end up being intimate and then feeding on Justina, and then she just takes over the house. And then when the yellow fever comes to town, she ends up meeting a doctor and his brother, and history kind of repeats itself until eventually she decides to start isolating herself in the graveyard. And the gravekeeper and her have this weird non-intimate relationship, I shouldn't say weird, but like a friendship, but there's a lot of implications that people are just drawn to her very like old school vampire power style. So there's this weird dynamic she has with a lot of people, a lot of townspeople, where she can just kind of get what she wants without trying. And that is kind of the nature of this relationship. Eventually she does save a woman who was shoved into a casket, buried alive, turns her. The woman does not want to live forever. She thought she was finally going to be free. And so when she takes her own immortal life, Maria has the groundskeeper lock herself up in her casket in his tomb, and that's it. That is the end of part one. She's just locked away for years and years and years and years and years and years. Now part two, we are back in the modern day, and I'm very curious as to where this goes from here. This is an interesting book. I'm really enjoying it. I think the translator did a really good job. I do want to highlight her as well. Heather Cleary translated this book. I don't know from what. Published in Spanish. Okay, so it's originally published in Spanish as La Cid by Blat and Rios, Buenos Aires. Okay, I think they did a spectacular job. I need to stop using that word, but they did a really good job with this translation. It's very, very beautiful prose. You do want to just keep reading and reading and reading, but it is going a little slower than I expected. It's been about 2 hours and I'm only halfway through. So I got a little bit of change of scenery. As you guys saw, I had a snack and a nice cup of coffee here. And I'm gonna blitz out this last half and then we will chat again in a bit and I will start on book number 2. Alrighty, so I just finished Thirst. 3.5 stars, I think. I did really like it, but I think the second half is where it starts to fall off a little bit. So the vampire, who we never really get the real name of, so we'll call her Maria, which is a fake name she used, only comes in for like the last 30 pages. And the modern day character is connected to her because it is a descendant of Mario, who kind of oversaw her grave for so long. It kind of focuses on Alma, who is the modern day character, and how she's kind of dealing with life, with being separated from her son's father and her mother dying of a degenerative illness. It very much turns into a grief-focused story for the vast majority of it. And then there's just no build-up between Alma and the vampire character's relationship, which for some reason, inexplicably, she basically falls in love with the vampire character and just goes off into the night with her. So I thought it was a really weird second half and ending to the book, but I did enjoy it overall. I really like the writing. It is really beautiful, especially for a translated book. A lot of times when a book is translated, certain things will feel clunky, right? And it just didn't happen here. This was just beautiful all the way through. So I really appreciated that. Second book we're gonna go for is Feast While You Can. Again, this is focusing on Angelina, who was born and raised Cadenze, and she spends most of her time walking her dog, attending her brother's concerts, and then attracting queer women to her small hometown. And then she runs into someone's ex who seems to awaken an ancient evil in a cave, and I am here for it. So we are going to get started on this. I'm gonna put some sprints or something on the TV, and then I will update you guys once I'm a few chapters in. Alrighty guys, quick shaky chair update here. I am about halfway, little less than halfway through Feast While You Can. I don't know how I'm feeling about it, honestly. Partially because I don't think, so far, it necessarily qualifies as a horror book, even like the gothic horror sense. There's technically a monster. So it focuses on Angelina, really, but her brother's ex, Javgi, and then Gemma. I think it's her name, Emma or Gemma. Javki leaves to go to university, but the rest of them kind of grew up in this town, and the vast majority of the book is just focusing on their relationships growing up. And then technically there's this urban legend, and this is what bothers me because this was introduced very early and then never really taken advantage of. There's this urban legend, there's this monster in the pit of the town that they live in, and it basically disappears you, like your entire existence. It steals your future is how it's described in the book, right? But basically it just completely disappears you, like you never existed, gone. At one point, Angelina almost falls in the pit, and then she wakes up and she just has this voice in her head. She sees it one time, and then it's just a voice in her head kind of throughout the rest of the book. But that's like 3 scenes in over 100 pages. Like there nothing has really happened. It's just focused solely on the drama between the relationships between all the characters and their upbringing. Also, so I just checked, and it's Jagvi, not Javgi. Jagvi having a relationship with Patrick, her brother, and then having an affair on a party where she first realized that she was a lesbian. And I'm not saying that this is a bad story in any way, but I don't know that it really qualifies as horror so far. It's almost just like Italian Degrassi, which is pretty cool for Pride Month. I'm not gonna lie about that, but it's not what I was expecting, and it is kind of making it a much slower read. It is about 9 o'clock, closer to 9:30 now, so we've been doing this for about 6-7 hours. I did a couple chores. I'm gonna lock in and read a bit more. I was hoping to have this finished by 10 and really start Don't Let the Forest In, but it might go a little slower. I'm hoping the book picks up. I am hoping something happens with Jagvi and Angelina and the monster, because the monster, like, if you can even call it that, because it's just a voice in Angelina's head, is telling Angelina to tell Jagvi that the monster's there, that there is some kind of creature from the pit. It exists. I don't know. I am going to lock in and read for a bit more. Roll some B-roll. I'm really tired, but we're going to get through this, and I will update you guys in a bit. Alrighty guys, so I finally finished Feast While You Can. It is about 11:45, so we're like 9-10 hours into this. Definitely behind, way behind. I only have about 2 to 3 hours left because I do work tomorrow afternoon. So we'll see if I can finish Don't Let the Forest in 3 hours. I think it's a 2.5 for me. I'm gonna make a reference here. It's the Babadook. It's the Babadook effect. It's not really a horror book. It's got some horror-ish elements, but it's really a drama. It's a narrative about the characters and all these other themes, whereas the Babadook was about grief and how trauma stays with you. Feast While You Can is really about the relationships, and really it's specifically about Javgi's and Angelina's relationships and their complicated history, not just within their own sexuality, but their own past and kind of the impacts around that. And it's kind of just wrapped in this Sci-Fi Channel horror story. I don't know. I didn't love it. I think I would have liked it more if I had been expecting more of a horror background, more of a horror story, but it is one for me. Very, very rare Nightworms miss for me personally, but that is 2 books down, even though I am very tired, to the point that I think I called Javgi like 3 different names. Anyway guys, that is 2 books down now, but I am fried. But we are going to persevere. We are going to have a little snack, and then we're gonna start Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. I am not finishing this third book tonight before I have to go to bed. So this is going to be an extended vlog. But it is now like 12:30, 12:40. So we are pushing like 11 hours of straight reading. I am on page 51. So about a fifth of the way through Don't Let the Forest In. I really like this so far. It focuses on Andrew Perrault, and he is going back to this boarding school where he met this boy, Thomas, him and his twin sister, Dove. And he is kind of obsessed. He has this fascination with Thomas that where even he doesn't understand if he wants to be him or if he wants to date him, like he's in love with him. But something happened the previous year, some kind of mental break, and Andrew, at minimum, put his hand through a mirror. And that's pretty much all we get on that. So there's like this big implication that Andrew's mental state is not great, and everyone around him is kind of babying him, coddling him a little bit in that regard. Literally, like within the first chapter, when they get back to school, Thomas is pulled into the office because his parents are missing. The neighbors called after sounds of screaming and a fight, and there's just what looks like blood all over the place, and no one can reach his parents. And he just shows up to school. He has blood on his blazer, or some red stain on his blazer, I should say. And that's kind of it for now. The school has put a fence around the forest. And there's also, his dad, when he dropped him off, told him to stay out of the forest. So I think something around there, something involving the forest pertains to the big psychotic break that Andrew had kind of experienced the year prior, is my current theory. There's a lot of mystery in this so far. I really like that. I love when a horror book does the mysterious element really well. So I am going to read this for a bit more tonight. I'd like to get a little closer to halfway in the next hour, and then I'm probably going to pass out before work, and we'll finish it tomorrow night after work. Alrighty guys, I just got off work, had some curry, and I finished the last 100 pages of Don't Let the Forest In. This was really good. This was really good. So right about where I updated you guys, where I finished the night before, it starts to get really psychological, and it starts to blur the lines between what's real and what may or may not only be real to Andrew. And then we get all this background with like Thomas and their history, and it's this really good ending, really good psychologically ambiguous ending for the two boys. It's wonderful. Go read this. I kind of want to get the final copy to see if any of this has changed. Best book of the reading vlog for sure. And that's the end of this vlog. Guys, we read Thirst, Feast While You Can, and then Don't Let the Forest In. I wish I would have gotten them all done in that 12-hour sprint. I got close. I should have started a little bit earlier in the day. I wanted to stay up and read more, but I did have to work. So that sucked. But again, thank you guys for 100 subs. That was super fun. I have a little bit of editing to do on this. I gotta finish the Romantasy vlog, and I will catch you guys in the next one.